Hey guys, good to see you. Camera's here, website, laptop is here. So I'll be talking to chat and you guys down here. Don't mind if I look up here at you. Glad you guys are here today. Tomorrow is American Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you, those of you who celebrate it. Today, I want to talk to you before anything else about conflict resolution. Conflict breaks up relationships. Did you know something like 98% of dating relationships will break up? Did you know that a lot of married people get divorced? Did you know that conflict is usually the reason for breaking up? Go figure. If you have conflict, if you exist, you have conflict. And if you can't manage that conflict effectively as a couple, odds are not good in surviving. This is why so many couples split up when things get tense, is because they don't know how to resolve it together. You might be able to handle small conflicts, but not big ones. I also want to tell you this right up front. Trust is only really built inside of conflict. So if you don't actually have successful conflict together, you don't really have trust. You just have good feelings to replace the trust with, which is why you never feel secure. Today, I'm going to talk to you about why so many couples fail in conflict resolution, exact things you can do right now to begin having better conflict immediately, and how to build those vasopressin bonds we've talked about inside of conflict. That's where it's usually built. And I want to show you some very special offers. Black Friday is coming very soon. I'm actually running my Black Friday specials right now. I want all of you to know that Black Friday specials, you can save $600 off the bundle of my two courses right now. Huge benefit. So if you want to save 60%, make sure you click the link I'm going to post in the description after there, in a pinned comment after this, I should say. It's also on my website, adamlanesmith.com, under Black Friday. If you want to join my flagship attachment repair program individually or as a couple, right now for Black Friday, the price will never be lower than this. You will save $4,000 off the entire program. It's a huge savings. We're gutting everything down to rock bottom prices just for Black Friday, because I want to make this as accessible as possible for every individual or couple who's wanting to fix their relationships right now. So if it's your time, I hope it is, because you can get better right now. Black Friday right now, all the way running through Black Friday into the weekend. I'm making sure that this is accessible. So click the link down in the first pinned comment or go on adamlanesmith.com. Chat, I'm glad you're here. Diva, good to see you. Very good to see you. Glad you are here. Hello, chat. Welcome to everybody. I am going to open up and have a lot of question and answer here today. I want to make sure I take care of you guys. As far as Black Friday offers, let me actually put that down there in the chat for you guys as well. Black Friday, it's right on my website, right at the top. I don't know if you guys have seen, but I massively overhauled my website. I have a huge team. Actually, they did it. I have an amazing team that helped me tremendously in resolving that. So I'm going to pin that message at the top. If you need help, Black Friday offers are right there. Like I said, 60% off the courses in a bundle right now. You want to fix your attachment, you want to learn how to love an avoidant man and fix your attachment through the attachment boot camp. 60% off for Black Friday. Do not miss that. It's available right now. You don't even have to wait. So don't spend your money on a third LCD TV for your living room. Fix your attachment for life. Invest properly. Rob Maria, glad you're here as well. Hello for a while. Those are, I know your work schedule is pretty tight. I know it is. I'm glad that you're sharing this time with us. Conflict. You guys, what is conflict? Let's define conflict. Conflict is where two people enter a situation and either they don't know what the other person's goals are, so they are afraid that the other person's goals are conflicting with their own, or they actually know that the other person's goals conflict with their own and they don't believe the other person is going to work with them to resolve it. This is bad conflict. This is scary conflict. When you enter a situation and don't know the goals or don't know if you can work together with the other person, you automatically go into protective mode, because nobody wants to just throw their goals out the window and be like, well, oh, well, doormat mode. No one likes that. Anxiously attached people will do that at the beginning of relationships to try to accommodate other people, but you're not supposed to. And it really over time eats away at you and destroys your ability to be happy. You will grow very resentful. Anxious people believe that by doing that, the other person will then grow more accommodating of them and start helping them in the future. Almost never happens, because the people, unfortunately, that would do that, secure people, they don't want to have throwaway conflict with you. They want to talk with you and hear what you desire and what you need. And so they need to hear you sharing your thoughts and sharing your needs. If they don't hear that, they start backing away, because now it's unsustainable, and they flag you as toxic or dangerous, even if you're not. I'm not down on and mad at any anxious people, but you will flag as toxic. And then over time, if your resentment boils up, you might look like it. You might look like a manipulator to other people, and they're going to back away from you even more. So if you are not opening up at the beginning of stages of conflict, I'm going to go with anxious people first. We'll talk about avoidant people here in a minute. Trust me. If you're opening up in conflict, or not opening up, and you're just making other people happy, it is unsustainable and it flags incorrectly to the healthy people. Unhealthy people love it. They're like, really? Free? And they just start filling their pockets. They're not grateful. They just start stuffing everything into their pockets as much as possible to get while the getting's good. This is a short term, unsustainable relationship. This is why if you're anxiously attached, you go into conflict, other people are not grateful. They just start stuffing their pockets and you'll pull in mostly anxious, maybe some disorganized, more manipulative people in your life. Not all disorganized people are manipulative. You know what I mean? The manipulative variants of all of these. You'll pull in manipulators because they like to get free stuff. Now, what will happen over time is you will feel exhausted, drained, uncared for, unsupported, and you will get more and more resentful. So you'll begin pushing back differently and strangely in conflict, very passive aggressively. You'll start inventing conflict and making it worse than it otherwise would be because you have backed up a backlog of stress and pain and unmet needs. It makes I just saw a chat says disconnected. Chat disconnected, successfully connected. Glad you're here, chat. Welcome. If you're here, say hi. Let me know that you're still in chat. I don't want to go on without you guys. I don't want to. I'll pause and breathe. But chat, let me know if you're still here. Say hi, please. Anxious people, this is why in conflict, it will not work for you. And other people will not accommodate you. And healthy people will back away. So you're going to have that difficulty. Now, avoidant people in conflict, they don't believe anyone else is ever going to work with them. They don't believe that it's possible to have decent, healthy, straightforward conflict. Avoidant people, this is my marriage 100% right now. Spin your mom. Okay, gotcha. I gotcha. We're going to fix that. I'm going to show you what to do. Okay. I'm going to show you today very, very clearly what to do and why it's hard and why you might need a mediator to kind of help you through a little bit of it. I was a licensed marriage and family therapist for many years. Now I coach individuals and couples. I help a lot of mediation in these early conversations. So that's where this is coming from. Avoidant people, they try not to have conflict. They try to avoid it. Now, they might have rough conflict. My goals will be met, and I don't care what your goals are. Right now, we are setting your goals aside because only my goals matter. Or I'm going to stay completely away from this, and I'll throw little things at you and help you meet your goals without you realizing my goals are ever being met because I don't want to ever have our needs even brush each other because if conflict happens, I can't trust you to be reasonable. I only trust myself to balance people's goals above the platform. I will do everything and balance everything without anyone else telling me anything. And I will anticipate it all the time. The problem with avoidant people is they believe your expectations are up here. Your expectations are actually here. So then they come to the table and try to balance your expectations that are up here with their needs and say, well, I'm getting nothing in exchange for what I'm giving you. This is totally unfair. And after 5 to 7 months, the novelty dopamine of a romantic relationship dies. And that's primarily what an avoidant person is getting if they don't get the oxytocin bonding. You guys, if you go back and watch videos that I've talked about the biochemistry of avoidant attachment, you know avoidantly attached people don't get the oxytocin, the serotonin, the GABA, all of that, all of those good brain chemicals they need from relationships. Chat, I'm looking at you guys right now. Anxious people do not communicate. They only tolerate without bottom line. They are too afraid their partner might leave them very often. Yep, I am not worth it. If we come to the table and negotiate, you'll tell me I'm not worth it and you'll abandon me. That's exactly how it begins. And then it gets ugly from there. It could be my service, but I'm trying to share. Thank you, Dozer. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Spaniel Mom, will this be available for replay? Absolutely. Yep. All these lives go up live. They're actually recording and it's currently available right now for replay as we're backlogging it. So yes, 100%. This is what avoidant people do in relationships though, is they think it's up here. They get almost nothing. It starts to drain where they get less and less. Now they think your expectations are here and they think they're getting this. This is why avoidant people avoid conflict with you until it's too late. They hold back and they make decisions on their own and then come and notify you of a decision. This isn't having conflict. This is notifying of a decision and ducking out. That's usually what ends up happening. Now, that's assuming they're ethically avoidant and not manipulative avoidant. Manipulative avoidant will come in and say, you're going to take everything from me if you can. So I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. And I'm going to use any means necessary to force your side down as low as possible and get what I need at the lowest possible cost. Okay. This is called an exploitative relationship. This is like a corporate transaction where you try to pay as little as possible to get the most value. They try to take as much money from you while providing the least value. That when people hear transaction, this is what they think of as like a corporate transaction with hard cash in unsustainable relationships where you don't care if you burn each other out. You're just trying to harvest as much as you can, get out, and never have a relationship again. Okay. This is what makes the manipulative avoidant and the toxic anxious, those two variants, and people with personality disorders almost impossible to work with because that's their base framework for conflict. Ethical avoidant people want it to be like this, where your needs are met with their needs. They're afraid that it's like this, where your needs are way too high and they can't sustain it. This is why they say, I'm sorry, it's just too much. Like, no, it's not. Your expectations are here, but actually, they think your expectations are here. Anxious people are like, well, as long as I get this, it's okay if your expectations are here. And then they're like, well, they're actually here, but that's fine. And they burn out and die and then get massively resentful and are afraid of abandonment. Healthy, secure attachment is like this. It actually goes up and down. Hey, sometimes you need a little more and I get a little less, but the next time I'm going to get a little more. We're going to take care of each other. Long term, sustainable relationship for 50 years. Okay. Now, how do you overcome these conflict fears? This is what I want to show you based on my 15 plus years in psychology and relationships, my 16-year marriage that I have. Our marriage anniversary is coming in January. And we've got 5 kids. We have to navigate conflict. Trust me, guys. 5 kids and a loving marriage. There's still conflict. Surprise, believe it or not. Also, though, now that I'm an attachment specialist, 1,600 students that I've trained through my attachment programs, and I've run through this. So I'm going to show you exactly what happens and in good conflict and how to do this together as a couple. It doesn't mean you might not be able to just take it and start doing it immediately, but I want you to see what it looks like. I want you to have the skills. You can try it. If it's useful and it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, my coaches and I are here. We can walk you through the program. I do have the attachment repair program available where we can teach you many of these skills and then model them for you and then walk you through them and have these conflicts together in the session to fix it, not to make you fight, but to then like, hey, pause, say this, please do this. Hey, react this way. Here's what I think they just said. You probably took it this way. I see you getting angry. Breathe for a moment. Here's the interpretation. And we can just pause you and navigate you through that. Your brains learn to conflict with each other differently, and then you fix it. So the attachment repair program right now, Black Friday special, $4,000 off, rock bottom price, lowest we could possibly go, and we will never go lower. Click the pinned comment in chat over here, or go to adamlanesmith.com, click Black Friday for the next 4 days, I think 4 or 5 days. You can get that offer right now. I also have the courses in there. You can watch those together. Going back to chat really quick before I come back and teach you those skills, those conflict skills. Looking at your courses, what's the difference between attachment boot camp and how to love? Great question, Gagoo. Great question. The attachment boot camp is if you want to fix your attachment, if you want to fix your attachment problems in a 7-hour program that shows you exactly what to do, and then you go out and do the steps and exercises included in that, have all those aha moments, and become securely attached in your life by yourself. The attachment boot camp is great for this. It's beautiful for avoidant people and anxious people. It's not really built for couples, but some couples take it together and fix their attachment. Now, it doesn't really include pieces on how to have a great romantic relationship, and especially not with an avoidant partner. The community here begged, please, Adam, build a program for connecting with my avoidant partner. So then I built a separate program for how an anxious person and avoidant person can fit together in a loving romantic connection for life. Okay. That program doesn't just make the avoidant person happy, it makes the anxious person very happy because it talks in there about why that person's needs are crucial, why they must be met, and then shows you how to have healthy conflict and how to build an incredible relationship where you're both fulfilled and bonded and you do the hormonal bonding that the avoidant person has not ever had in their life. Both of those courses are in a bundle right now for 60% off on that total. So click the link in the chat, the pinned one at the top, or go adamlanesmith.com, click the Black Friday tab, and the 60% off bundle is available. I recommend both. I recommend couples go through both. If both of you are engaged and wanting to work on this, like engaged together, It's good for long distance relationships. It's good for long term relationships that are not married. It's good for engaged couples as pre marriage coaching kind of thing, pre marriage preparation, and it's great for married couples. I built those programs for them to be able to use for that. So go through that program together. Okay. What if they just will not tell you what they need? Richard, you do what if that what you're doing wrong and never talk back, talk about it through and never talking ever again. The harder you try, the worse it gets over long distance relationships. So all of that sounds absolutely unendurable. It sounds like they're dictating to you. They want endless good feelings and never want anything that changes for your good, only for their own good. And they're trying to tailor you to that approach. And there's a reason it's long distance. So they can just flip a switch and turn you off when you're inconvenient. So Richard, I have seen unfortunately long distance relationships are not fixable. Not all of them. Some of them could be fantastic. Some could be turned into marriages and be wonderful. What you need to do is work with them and say, I would love to build a really connected relationship where we are both fulfilled. Is that what you want? If so, amazing. Let's definitely do this together. Let's learn some conflict approaches together and some communication skills. I would love to hear more about what you'd like me to do instead of just the wrong things, because dead organism test, you can't just tell me not to do something. I need to know what to do. In return, I would love to share my needs with you in a measurable way, and we agree to take care of each other. Can we do that? If they're like, no, that sounds dumb, just stop XYZ, that's when you know that it's not going to work. Very few relationships can't be fixed, but the ones that can't is when the other person is unwilling to do anything at all. If one person is completely unwilling to do any work at all, they do not want a human relationship. They want a convenient relationship with an object, and you are supposed to be that object. Keep that in mind. Okay. Not saying that's you, Richard. I don't know your relationship yet, but it's flagging not right just yet. Okay. So have that conversation with them and ask them about building a mutual relationship based on positive behaviors instead of dead organism test. Make sense? Sarah, some people don't know what themselves need. They can't articulate their needs and define their feelings. Yeah. So in the How to Love an Avoidant Man course, I worked on that. And I built the what, why, and how often method, because a lot of anxious women in particular don't know what to say. So I need to feel loved. It means nothing for an avoidant person. A lot of my coaching clients come in, Adam, he doesn't get it. I need to feel loved. And the guy's like, what the hell does that mean? I will do it if you could tell me what it means. Well, loved, loved, things that make me feel loved. You should know. If you care about me, you'll know and do it. Listen, I have never felt loved or cared for or safe in my life. I don't know what that feels like. If you can tell me what to do, I will do it. But it sounds stupid. How dare you, right? Like, this is the conversation. What, why, how often? I need to feel loved. Here are two things that help me to feel loved. Here is why those things are important to me in particular. And here is why it's important to the relationship. Here's what it will do for us, right? A little bit of selfishness for the other person, but give them some incentive. This is the benefit if we do this. What, why, how often? This is how often I need it, or how much of it I need, or how many times, or how many hours, or how many times a week, right? What, why, how often? If you can give a what, why, how often method and make it incentivized, like this is the benefit to us and our relationship if we do this, great. And then you can offer with them, what do you need from me in return that I can also do for you? Give me the what, why, and how often of what you need. Two things that you need to feel loved or feel safe, feel fulfilled, feel trusted, feel cared for, whatever it might be. What, why, how often? Very important you use that method, Sarah. Avoidant women feel heard and understood. I'm glad. I'm very glad. They need to, Alexander. They definitely need to. Those are, I don't want to take away from your topic. As you know, I'm studying addiction. How does attachment correlate with addiction? I believe I had a whole video on this previously. I know I had some live streams on it. Those, you might want to go look at them. But when your brain chemistry is massively down and you're stressed out and your cortisol levels unregulated, you're chronically in your sympathetic nervous system and you're amped up all the time, you need things chemical wise that bring your nervous system down and help regulate your cortisol levels or numb you to them, and then mute out basically your sympathetic nervous system and help you enter your parasympathetic nervous system artificially. And that's what drugs and self-medicating and addictive behaviors as well are usually doing, binging dopamine, things like that. So that's usually, addiction comes from attachment issues and relationship problems and the brain chemistry that stems from those things. That's really where it comes from. Working hard on my relationship with my avoidant, but now our 19-year-old is struggling with handling overhearing intimate portions. I mammoth octopus wait for it working though. Glad it's working. Sorry if you're 19-year-old, but I will say this: it is actually crucial that children understand how to navigate conflict in a healthy, loving way. So, yeah, they're probably like, "Ooh," but now they have actual skills and work of or a work in progress, a framework for okay, if I have trouble with my partner. I remember that weird disgusting conversation I heard from mom and dad or whoever. I remember them doing this, so maybe I could try that. And they have a framework for it. They actually need to see you working together as humans and resolving issues. It's good to see parents and loved ones disagree and then resolve that disagreement and continue loving each other. Otherwise, you have no frame of reference for what to do. So it needs to be loving and caring, though. Alexander, how to make an avoidant woman, how to make them feel heard and understood. Quite honestly, the How to Love an Avoidant Man video course, 100% applicable to avoidant women. It's just the community here begged me to make a resource just about avoidant men. So I made that course targeted for anxious women and avoidant men. The How to Love an Avoidant Man video course works 100% for avoidant men, for avoidant women and anxious men. It works 100%. Just flip the words that I say from he to she. That's really it. Okay. The Avoidant Man video course is on, I think it's 40% sale, and the bundle of them together is on 60% sale on the Black Friday. It's pinned up in the comment section, it's pinned in the chat. I will have a pinned comment after this for the replay people. Hi. And it's on my website, adamlanesmith.com, under the Black Friday tab. Pick that up right now. That's what you can do. All right, Sarah. Some people live in a very random, chaotic life, maybe too much rely on their mood and feelings. Incredibly hard for them to make their yeah. So the problem there, Sarah, is living in a random, chaotic life. That's exactly the problem. The human nervous systems are not built for that. That is the number one issue. It's kind of like the dog with the cup. This is fine. The room is on fire. He shouldn't pick up gardening to calm his nervous system. He needs to put the fires out or get the hell out of the room full of fire, find a place that's safe, and then begin working on his issues, right? Sometimes your room is on fire and all the calming mechanisms in the world aren't going to work. She texted me happy birthday, but not talking anymore. I don't know what she wants to do besides not talking. You need to ask, hey, I need some clarity. Are we taking a break? Are we pausing? Do you need some space? If so, how long? Right? Get some clarity. A person who wants to be your partner should be giving you clarity, not using you as an inconvenient object that they don't want to look at and they throw away when they're tired of you. Okay, that's not a partnership. My partner brought up a minor issue, said he doesn't want to bother me in addressing. I let him know right away that I want to address anything small so it doesn't turn huge. Absolutely, Christy. That's great. That's great. So that's what the weekly check-ins are for. When people come into like the attachment repair program or the coaching, what we do immediately is say, you guys need to establish a weekly check-in for 6 minutes where you go through and we give them very structured, like ask these questions, do this. So it makes sense for anxious and avoidant people, very structured. So there's not like complaining about feelings for 3 hours and then you hate it. But you have to have a weekly check-in where you resolve issues very fast. This helps people who aren't comfortable bringing up issues spontaneously, but it also helps people who are concerned about talking about feelings too much and it's everywhere and they're ambushed by problems. It brings them all together. And then you never have a problem that lasts more than a week. You can resolve them quickly. Really quick, back to conflict resolution. So a healthy conflict inside a couple. Here's what it needs to look like. Okay, chat, you guys ready? You ready? Cool. First, you go to that person, you front load with context. This is what people get wrong. They rehearse like a 20-minute speech they're going to give and like speak to a wall. No, people get mad. They interrupt you. It will not go well. And it turns into a fight. And then it breaks apart because it didn't go according to script. And you get mad. They get mad. You go front load context. Here's what front loading context looks like. Okay. This prevents anxious people and avoidant people from misunderstanding and assuming the absolute worst. Hey, I want to have a quick conversation with you. This is not a breakup conversation. You say that right front. This is not a breakup conversation. No reason to get mad. The only thing I need from you by the end of this is just to know that you understood what I said. And in the future, we can work toward like finding a solution. That's all. So I just want you to intake some information really quick. Can you do that? Great. Or I need to ask you a couple questions really quick. I want to understand too. We don't have to make a decision yet, but just there's a challenge. That's all. There's a challenge, but not a breakup challenge, right? Put that up front. And then they're like, okay. And they're going to be like, but here, you've told them it's not a threat. You've told them the feedback you need. Now they're not like frantically figuring out what you want and rushing into defense mode. They're going to try to accommodate and give you what you're looking for, as long as they're a reasonable human being and not an incredible manipulator. Okay. So you front load with context. Now you give 2, maybe 3 sentences maximum. And I don't mean like 700 word sentences where it's like all run on in one page. You open your scroll and begin reading. Not that. Okay. 2 to 3 sentences maximum. Okay. So there's this challenge. Here's what I've seen. I've noticed blah, blah, blah. Here's how it's made me feel, blah, blah, blah. Before I say anything else, and you stop on purpose. Before I say anything else, I'd love to hear what's your perspective on this, or what are you seeing from your side? Really great way to phrase it, and you immediately give them control of the conversation, so they're not like amping up and watching the train go off the tracks. They're like, "Oh, this is the feedback you want. It's not a breakup. Oh, that problem. Oh, well, okay. Well, it's not my fault." And they're thinking, and you're immediately like, before I even react, like, tell me your side. And they're like, well, they're not like freaked out yet. Okay, whether they're anxious or avoidant. If they're avoidant, by the way, at this point, they're looking at you sideways. And their eye, they have like the one eye looking at you. Their nostrils are kind of flared. Avoidant people can't look right at you during a conflict. They have to do this. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is, but they'll look at you sideways like this from their peripherals, and their nostrils will flare a little bit and they'll get very stiff. Anxious people are like huddled over in fear. Their arms kind of like curl up like this. And they look like a rabbit that's about like trying not to get eaten by a hawk, and they stare right at you. It's just what it is. Disorganized people, it's fun. They're actually a little bit different. They have a gas canister, and they're already splashing gasoline around the room for the mysterious fire that they need to light later to stop the conversation. So those are the 3 reactions you're usually going to see. So at this point, you stop. Before they can get freaked out, you stop and say, what's your perspective from your side? What are you seeing from your side? This is very teamwork language, and you invite them in. They're like, well, this is what I say, blah, 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 blah. And then you ask questions. Okay, well, tell me more. You mentioned this. Tell me more about that part. Well, you mentioned this is a problem. Tell me more. Oh, that's happening because of that. Well, tell me more. Why is that happening? Tell me more about this. Well, okay. I noticed you didn't really tell me about that. I wish you had. What stopped you from telling me about that previously to now? Because otherwise I thought you were mad at me. So what stopped you? And you can ask those questions, and then you gather information. Now you're making a very informed decision as you go. This is how you work and collaborate together. You're actually gathering information. If you walk in with a 20-minute prepared speech, you've spent 6 months preparing it every time you take a shower, you are not prepared because you haven't gathered information. You have made massive assumptions on your side. And so this is why you walk in and you're both collaborating and you're asking questions, a back and forth conversation. And then you say, okay, do you have anything else to say? Otherwise, I have some things to share. Okay. So now that I've heard this information, here's where I was. Here's how I've shifted. Here's the problem I see. If we want to fix this thing, right? If we do this thing, this could fix it. Do you think this could fix it? Not will you do that? Do you think this is a good solution? Or do you have anything to add to this? Are you willing to do this with me? Okay, great. So let's implement it from going forward. Here's the exact plan. Here's what I'll do different, and here's what you'll do different going forward. And if we go backwards, I want you to say something immediately, or I will say something immediately, and we'll catch it. Sound good? Beautiful. Great. Thank you so much. Hug. Oh, thank you so much. We fixed it together. You vasopressin bond and oxytocin bond at this point. And this is where you really begin feeling connected to each other. And like, great. Thank you so much. Now you disconnect. You don't be like, no, we're going to snuggle for 6 hours. No, you're like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm going to give you some space. Thank you for pausing your Xbox, or thank you for putting down your crochet or whatever. I'm going to give you some space. Do you want to hang out a little bit later? And they might say, actually, we can hang out now. And they're like, no, I want reassurance. Anxious people want to hang out like immediately because they want like reassurance. Avoidant people might be like, yeah, let's hang out in like 20 minutes. Let's hang out in an hour. Right. And you're like, cool, no problem. And you walk off. Avoidant people usually will come get you because they just wanted the space to disconnect and breathe. And then they want to come work with you. And they actually kind of miss you. Anxious people will like cling on you, and they want reassurance that you're really, really, really not going to leave them. And then you start to resolve it. Disorganized people are like mopping up the gasoline because they're like, well, I didn't even have to light a fire today. No one even had to go to heaven. And they're having this. And so you build the vasopressin and oxytocin together. The reason most couples fail at this is because either they don't front load context, or they can't trust the other person to stop and ask questions, or they've partnered with someone who won't actually share information with them in good faith, or they start asking really pointed, demanding questions. Well, why did you do that? Because it really hurt my, like, and they go like that, right? And they both escalate. They don't know how to hold and retain their own feelings. They don't know how to regulate themselves. They walk in unregulated, or they don't trust each other yet. So sometimes you have to have a professional, a coach, like an attachment coach, me or one of my coaches, someone like that, a priest, a pastor, a therapist, a mentor, your aunt, whoever. Have somebody that moderates. If you need somebody, me and my coaches will be there. And they can say, wait, pause. I can see you escalating right now, but from my perspective, they just said this, and I think you might have taken it this way. Can you say what you said again and tell us what that meant? And so we ask the clarifying question you should have asked that you spiked and didn't ask instead. A lot of people don't stop and ask the clarifying questions before they react and pop. And that's why the conflict goes so bad. So stopping, pausing, having those moments, and then like, okay, no, I could see that. Okay. And you go through it. You can also trust the third party moderator more than you trust the other person. As you build trust with the other person, first you trust them and you both trust the moderator. This is why third party moderation conversations happen, is because you both trust that person to manage it. So then you can begin over time building trust with each other. So the goal is to have them phase out. That's why my attachment repair program is a limited program. It's not lifelong. You don't need us lifelong. You shouldn't. That's dependence. Therapy fosters dependence in most cases. It's not what we want. You have to go in and build trust with the person. Oxytocin, vasopressin, hormonal bonding builds that trust, but only through conflict. You have to have the conflict to do it. As you do that, this is what ultimately resolves the issues and builds the incredible relationship. So make sure you are having those conversations. If it's a struggle, let me know. Right now, the attachment repair program is open at the lowest price it will ever be for Black Friday. Make sure you click that pinned comment or click the pinned note in the chat, or afterwards click the pinned comment and come in, or go on the website, adamlanesmith.com. But the repair program is always available, you guys. It's always there if you need help. Just make sure you're having conflicts in the right way so that you can fix the issues. Once you start fixing the issues, then you go into an upward spiral, because every time you have a conflict, it confirms that you care about each other. It confirms that you're going to work together. It confirms that you're a loving couple. It confirms the other person is your friend and ally. And then you can have a great, intimate, trusting relationship going forward that just gets better and better with time. That opens up the possibility of more intimacy and more connection, more love, more safety, more sex, more everything, because conflict is no longer a problem. In fact, conflict is where you thrive together. So keep that in mind, you guys. Very, very, very important. Diva, I love your analogies on the gasoline splasher. That's disorganized style, because they've never been in a situation before where they didn't have to splash gasoline and light a fire to be able to escape from the other person who was trying to chase and hurt them. And that's what creates disorganized style. It's like, I can't just people please you with anxious, and I can't just avoid you and duck out and placate you with avoidant. So I have to do something even more challenging, which is set a fire. And as you're running and screaming and like confused about what's happening, I can escape. That's what the disorganized style does, guys. It's not mean or malicious. Usually it's very scared. Do ethical avoidance do clear breakup or keep the door open? It really depends on the person and their past history and what they want. It really depends on that. Avoidant women usually extremely confident, avoid it. They can be confident, not usually in close, intimate relationships, because they're afraid of what other people want from them. They don't know what people want. Sarah, what if the person doesn't engage that much in the conversation of conflict, stays avoidant and silence? Are they listening? That's the metric I use. Is the avoidant person, like the one eye, nostril flare, stiff, but are they listening? Are they listening? This is important. At the end of it, can you wrap up and say, does that make sense? Is that clear? And they're like, yes. And you're like, okay, can we maybe reconvene in a little while when you think it through and have another conversation about it? You can share your thoughts. Okay. Right. Are they listening? Are they nervous but listening? That's an ethical avoidant, usually. A manipulative avoidant is like, stonewall, silence. I refuse to engage with you. You are just a particularly loud, squeaky wheel on a shopping cart. You mean nothing to me. You are not even a human. That's really unworkable at that point. So if they are utterly stonewalling you, they are refusing to have a human relationship with you. Keep that in mind. Okay. be more than just like a blow up doll in somebody's life. All of you out there, I'm saying that to all of you. Be more than just a blow up doll to somebody that you make unpleasant noises when they don't want you to. That's really the relationship those manipulators are trying to have with you, and you deserve more than that. It's not really fixable from that point, unless they are willing to make changes. Sometimes you can apply consequences and push them in the proper ways. It will not get better from being nice to them and loving them. Women hope that men will change for love and intimacy. They will not. Men change for consequences, and manipulators won't even change for that. They'll change temporarily and pretend to change just to try to get things off track and then back where they want them to be. That's the problem, you guys. Do you have advice for coping with not getting support from family after finding out about a death? Grief. Well, I'm very sorry. Number one, cat. I'm very sorry to hear about that. Um, if family is not helping you, do you have a loving, intimate partner or friend that you can go to? And if not, they do have grief support groups you can go to online and in person. Sometimes churches of various types or religious centers have grief support groups as well. There's that. The bottom of the barrel that nobody, when you have nobody, a therapist can help you manage some grief as well. But support groups in general can often help with grief management too, cat. So I hope that you have some. I hope you have some care there. Sarah, I think they listen. They're willing to communicate. They'll freeze and get shut down for a while. Maybe after a few days, they'll get back later. So that's good. No, Sarah, that's actually good. That means they might be ethically avoidant and they're trying, but they're very scared. So build that into the conversation. Hey, I know that sometimes when I present an information piece or an idea, it seems like it kind of freaks you out. I want you to know that we are going to make it so easy for you when you feel that way. Not a problem. I don't expect an immediate answer. Take some time, chew on it, think about it, and then set a time to come back and talk to me. So, can we do our conversations in phases? Have conversations in phases, Sarah. There's nothing wrong with that. That can really help a lot of times. Priscilla, it's been 3 months. We're not in contact on and off. My avoidant ex said it's stressing when you want to hear my feelings and thoughts of what I want. How can we get back? Priscilla, let me ask. It's been 3 months of no contact, and it's stressful when you want to hear their feelings. What is making you chase that person? Is my question. If they don't want a relationship based on feelings and intimacy, and it's been 3 months, what is making you chase them? Let me know. My avoidant wife said she never agreed the death of her aunt, never grieved the death of her aunt for 5 years ago. Have a conversation because she's probably dissociated from that. Avoidant people dissociate from their feelings so that they can't because they can't deal with them. It's too much. So they dissociate from it and just shut it down. Remember, the avoidant attachment style is a survival mechanism for dangerous, hurtful environments where no one will care about them. And they carry that into adult life where it's inappropriate in relationships where people do care about them. So it's usually what that is. My avoidant partner of 3 years isn't ready to spend a night together. We're intimate, but each one of us go back to their place at night. Any tips? Valerie, that's strange. 3 years of not, so 3 years of physical intimacy, but never ever sleeping in the same location sounds strange. It sounds like there's some, I mean, if I was more paranoid, I would say that they have they're married and not telling you. That's what I would say. If you want to take a more gracious approach, you might say that there's something very off about their sleep patterns, or there's something very strange there. I would ask how often you get together. If it's once a weekend, right, then it's more of like a hobby for them. If it's once a month, that's more like a hobby. It sounds like something is very, very off in that relationship. Something is not being communicated properly, because that's a very strange dynamic, to be honest with you. Um, how do you deal if you don't get answers? How do you deal if you don't get answers? You need to get answers, you guys. I mean, if someone is actively, purposely withholding them, they're choosing to just use you. If someone doesn't know and they're just really confused and they don't know what to say, work with them to find answers. Those are the two alternatives there, if that makes sense. I'm going to take one more question. I'm going to be out for the day, you guys. I've been this place. I know he's honest. I go to his place. It's seldom. We're long distance, spending every other month in the same. So every other month you get together for a brief period of time and have physical intimacy, but then you can't spend the night anywhere. There's something very strange going on there, Valerie. Something very strange. You need to figure out what the heck it is, because it's not just I don't feel like it. There's something very, very strange there. So you need to ask. You need to have that conversation. You need to explain it's kind of meaningful and it's also kind of confusing, and that you would like to do more of that connection. There's nothing wrong with that at all. If this person says absolutely not and breaks up with you, then this was not really a relationship. It was more like a hobby to them, to be honest with you. You need to have that conversation. If you want that level of connection, Valerie, then go for it. There's nothing stopping you from having a relationship. It just might be that you can't have it with them. And that's the piece. A lot of women are settling for relationships that are so far beneath the basic minimum of what they need, because they're afraid they can't find better elsewhere. And now they're oxytocin addicted to the person. Oxytocin addiction keeps a lot of women trapped in relationships that are subpar for them. Not saying that's you necessarily, but I've seen it a lot. I've stopped chasing him. Oh, I got to get going, guys. Sorry, time limit's up. If you have questions, you can email me, support@adamlanesmith.com. I very much recommend you check out my Black Friday specials right now. $4,000 off the attachment repair program, with working one-on-ones with my certified attachment coaches, and 3 times a week with me. Imagine if you had 3 check-ins with a mentor every single week for 6 months. What would that do for your life? Hey, Adam, this is happening. Adam, what do I do? Adam, what do I do? Adam, what do I do? 3 times a week. Imagine that level of connection plus one-on-ones with a certified attachment specialist coach. Check out the attachment repair program. Massive, massive discounts for Black Friday. Also, if you're wanting to fix your attachment and build healthy, loving, intimate relationships, maybe with an avoidant partner, check out the 60% savings, 60% savings on the bundle of my video courses. They're linked in the chat right now, and that comment at the top. They're linked in a comment after this, or they're pinned below. Make sure you check that out, or go adamlanesmith.com, click the Black Friday tab, and get your special offer savings right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will be coming back on Friday. I have set a reminder. I've set a schedule. You can sign up for a reminder like that in the live section. Make sure you come back on Friday. I will be here talking to you about those relationship pieces. Until then, you take care of yourselves.